The Lives of the Saints by Father Alban Butler, April 23rd. Blessed Giles of Assisi. Of all his first companions, the one most dear to St. Francis was undoubtedly the one whom he called our Knight of the Round Table. Giles, who was a young man of singular piety and purity of life, admired the Poverello of Assisi from afar, but did not dare to approach him until he learned that his friends Bernard and Peter had joined him in leading a life of poverty. At once Giles decided to imitate them, and went out of the city to meet St. Francis. The two were deep in conversation when a beggar woman approached them. Since neither had any money, St. Francis asked Giles to give the woman his cloak. That proof was enough. The next day, Giles took the habit. At first, he accompanied St. Francis on his evangelization campaigns in the Mark of Ancona and around Assisi. But in a sermon, the founder advised his disciples to go all over the world, and Giles decided to make a pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela. Brother Giles practically earned his way, for whenever he could, he rendered some service in exchange for the alms he was given. He shared with others all his possessions, even his cloak, and did not worry one bit about the appearance of his sad figure. On his return to Italy, Giles was sent to Rome, where he earned his livelihood by working as a water carrier and woodcutter. After visiting the Holy Land, he went to Tunis to evangelize the Saracens. That expedition was a failure. The Christians, frightened by the possible revenge of the Saracens, far from welcoming and helping the missionaries, forced them to embark before they could begin their preaching. Brother Giles spent the rest of his life in Italy, especially in Fabriano, Rieti, and Perugia, where he died. Although he was very simple and uneducated, Brother Giles possessed an infused wisdom and was therefore consulted by people from all walks of life. His visitors soon learned, by experience, not to mention certain subjects, for just by hearing about them, Giles would go into ecstasy and lose all contact with the outside world. Knowing this, the ragamuffins in the street would shout, "Paradise! Paradise!" when the friar passed by. Giles held men of science in high esteem, and once asked St. Bonaventure if the ignorant could love God as much as the wise. "Naturally," replied the saint, "a little woman without letters can love God more than a wise doctor of the church." Enchanted with that answer, the good little brother ran to the door of the garden, which overlooked the city, and began to cry out, "Listen, good women, you can love God more than Brother Bonaventure." He was then wrapped in ecstasy for 3 hours. Brother Giles led the most secluded life he could, together with a disciple. The latter later declared that his master had not uttered a single useless word in the 20 years they had spent in each other's company. Indeed, Giles had an extraordinary love for silence. A beautiful legend tells that St. Louis, King of France, on his way to the Holy Land, secretly disembarked in Italy and went to Perugia to visit Brother Giles, of whom he had heard much. After embracing each other fraternally, the two servants of God knelt down to pray together and parted, without having uttered a single word. Throughout his life, the devil pestered the blessed with cruel temptations. For his part, Brother Giles found it very natural to have to face the enemy of his master. One of the things he adored most was idleness. When he lived in Rieti, the Cardinal Bishop of Tusculum wanted him to eat with him every day, but the servant of God only accepted on condition that he earned his food. One rainy day, the cardinal told Brother Giles that since he could not go to work in the fields, he had to accept the food free of charge. But the little brother did not let himself be so easily persuaded, but slipping into the kitchen, which was very dirty, he helped to clean it before sitting down at the table. The great sorrow he felt at the death of St. Francis was followed in the same year by the greatest joy of Brother Giles' life, for the Lord appeared to him in Satona as he had lived in Palestine. Later, the Blessed told his brothers that he was born 4 times, the day of his birth, the day of his baptism, the day he took the habit, and the day he saw Christ. Brother Giles' sayings have been published many times. They show his deep spirituality and his solid common sense. His cult was approved by Pius VI.